Norris, if you want to go over it.
Yeah, so the overview of this event, so these are the guiding questions that we used when we were formulating the topics for our presentation. And the guiding questions, the first one is, how are issues faced by students different in different parts of Virginia? How does this disparity impact students emotionally and academically? Secondly, how do accelerated and magnet programs in schools and school districts affect students from a young age and impact their progression through high school? And third, we have, how can schools foster an environment in which students can grow? And so basically we made these questions all together as like topics of interest for us and our groups as high school students. And that's how we made the ultimate topics for this forum.
Now we'll have an icebreaker. We're wondering about your experiences and how school has shaped you. You can take the next few minutes to type your answer into the chat or speak it out loud.
I would like to go. My name is Dylan, and how have your experiences in school shaped who you are today? Um, well, like how I came from public school system, and it shaped me as a better person of like just knowing there are some issues in the school system, especially with mentoring. There's not enough mentor, and to me, I don't see enough male role models as well. Because some it'd be more women leaders in the school than the males. So I think how it shaped me, it just helped me like it's time to make a change. That's how it was. Because at first when I started, I really didn't focus on nothing like that. But as I graduated high school, I said, no what, I want to make a change in the public school system because we have gone through a lot, and it just helped me become a better advocate for the special education and for people that's in low income as well.
That's a wonderful answer. Thank you.
Yeah. We're so glad to have you here. Does anybody else want to share? Also, feel free to type in your responses in the chat.
I'm happy to share some of my experiences, if that's okay. I want to leave room for young friends on the call, but I'm Trisha, and I'm here from Charlottesville, Virginia, and I just thinking about experiences in school and how it shaped who I am today. I grew up in a really low income, very rural area in North Florida, and I didn't realize how I didn't understand the lack of resources we had at my school until I became an adult and was pursuing my own education. And so it's what led me to education, to become an educator, because I'm now really motivated to help students find, resources. And so sometimes it's almost that, like, I don't know, two sides of the coin, right? Like an access to great resources can lead you one way, and then a lack of access to resources can lead you another way. And for me, it really shaped my experiences in wanting to just be able to share and to support young people and their educational experiences.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. It's so nice to have you here as well. And I just want to say, like, a big part of what we're advocating for is also having that equity between vocational resources and higher educational resources that are being presented to youth, because in areas that are wealthier, you don't see a lot of that vocational access. When we see the flip side, which is something that we're also going to talk about.
Yep. So is that going to be all for the icebreaker?
If anyone else would like to share, feel free to unmute, but if not, we can move on.
Desiree, you have some answers that are in the chat.
Oh, I see. Thank you. All right. One person said, I think it shaped me to deal with different types of people and situations. I knew the importance of education and having resources and people to lead you into a good academic future. I think that is also a wonderful answer. Thank you for being here. And our second answer is, I just reflected recently on some of my school experiences more than 30 years ago. Peer/near-peer mentoring meant a lot to me as a high schooler, though I didn't know it at the time. Being able to ask questions of folks close to my age and share what I learned with students younger than me definitely influenced my current passions and career. Well, that was wonderful. I'm so glad.
Hey, thank you to everyone who shared. I think it's definitely, growing up having a bunch of different perspectives in, public school is what I'm seeing. A lot of people want to is a great way to grow your perspective and, really value what the input you can get from people who are like older and younger than you, which, peer mentoring is something else that we're going to discuss. So we're happy to have everybody here.
All right, so the first topic we're going to be discussing is Northern Virginia versus Southern Virginia and the opportunity gaps that are present there. So I put a little map on there. So here is Fairfax County, here is Lynchburg County, like roughly. So basically the main difference is that a lot of schools more Southern Virginia have like an inequality there in terms of academics and education. There's less STEM programs, there's less college readiness for students, and less programs for students to get into regarding their passions and careers that they want to go into. Especially when you compare that to the northern school counties, there's definitely a big difference there. And this is just one example. For today, I chose two specific counties just to compare for the sake of simplicity. Fairfax County has a much higher rate of college readiness at 53.1. Lynchburg County's district average is 18.1, according to US News. And is there any questions or comments or anything like that? You can put it in the chat or you can unmute and raise your hand.
I just want to add on to this that, one reason why we see this disparity is, somebody mentioned having peer in their high school. I feel like in Northern Virginia, we have a lot more, we have sources of strength, we have peer, we have a lot of these programs that are built into our school courses that are usually not in, a lot of other counties. And so that's like the mentoring gap. And that's really what we're trying to fill in. And the way that we do that is to have other adults and other students, speak out about this need that mentoring does make a difference. And you can just see that, with the data that's presented here.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ava. So anything I see in the chat, I think we can share these slides with you if you would like to. If you want to private chat me, maybe your email address, I can definitely email it to you. All right, so next up, Leslie, if you want to take it away.
Okay, so now we're gonna go a little bit deep into how do high school students serve students who know English as a second language. So first of all, we have 6 points here, 3 in this one and 3 in the other slide. So as we know, ESOLs is ESOL, English as a second language classes, are often specialized in high school for high schools often offer specialized ESOL classes tailored to the language and needs of students. These classes help improve English proficiency through lessons on grammar, vocabulary, reading and writing, listening and speaking. So as we know, I think that cultural integration programs could also help them, since when you are providing, like, to these high schools may organize programs or events that promote cultural integration and understanding among students from diversity backgrounds. These initiatives help ESOL students feel included and valued within the school community. My next point, access to resources. I think this is actually really important, since when we as a second English as a second language, I think it's a pretty difficult way to like relate to others who already know the native language or the language that is already in the country given. So I think that having the access to all these resources, like sports clubs or like different activities that the school might have the opportunity to provide to others, could also be integrated to these other students. And this could actually help them a lot. Not only just in making friends, but also in improving their English as well. And helping them to, open more a little bit to others and keep learning. And as we know, I also get this relationship between peers from a diversity what is this called? I forgot. Yeah, but yeah, we can go to the next slide. That's okay. All right, so collaboration with parents. I think this is also really important as well, since the school often engages parents of ESOL students through partner teacher conferences, workshops, or newsletters in multiple languages to ensure ongoing support and communication regarding their child's process and educational needs. So this basically can improve a lot. I've been seeing this program, schools here in Northern Virginia using it with elementary schools, and I think this is really, really helpful, not just to little kids, but also to high schoolers. The next one is individual education plans. For students with some specific language needs, schools may develop individualized education plans that outline personalized goals and support strategies to address academic challenges related to language proficiency. So I think that also you can not also just depending on your school system, but also I think that having your looking for like for your own education, having this encouragement to learn more and be like, oh yes, I want to learn this, I want to learn different phrases or new words or things like that. And this also is really helpful and can make us a path to keep learning and gaining more information about what we're doing and how this can incorporate into our lives. And lastly, language support programs. Some schools offer language support programs such as 13 after-school language clubs or summer language camp to support classroom learning and provide additional practice opportunities. So, as I was saying before, clubs, 13 or like mentoring programs as Mentor VA as well. I think they're really helpful and they make a really such a big impact in mentees' life. And this can, not just this have like not just a positive impact, but it also has a meaningful impact in their lives. And I think that we can all learn from each other's, not just a mentee from a mentor, but also a mentor from a mentee. And I think I think I'll leave it like that. Thank you. And yeah, if you have questions or something, you can just chat and type it in the chat or unmute and ask. Feel free to ask. Thank you.
I think you did a wonderful job, Leslie. I just wanted to add on to that. The school that I go to, it has a lot of Hispanic students, a lot of students that speak Spanish, a lot of students that speak other languages that are still learning English. So I think all of these things are really important, especially if you live in an area with a lot of non-native English speakers. Yeah, so I like 110% agree with you.
Thank you.
And I also wanted to add on that I feel like a big part about respecting students who are, coming in as English as their second language is really about fostering not only a culture of inclusivity, but also a culture of like self-advocacy. So I've seen in Loudoun County, there have been cases where, for example, people's individualized education plans may have not been respected by teachers because they would be like, well, you're taking this hard course, like you're taking an honors or an AP course. So they are a little bit more lenient with the education plan. And that leads to students who, might be speaking English as their second language to like fall behind. And so one way that my school has been dealing with things like that is by launching this campaign throughout our equity committee about self-advocacy. So going back to the organizations and the places where you guys are coming from, really emphasizing to youth that you can speak up for yourself and it's okay to ask for help, or it's okay if a miscommunication occurs to state your opinion. That's really the biggest thing that bridges students with teachers, because at the end of the day, these, like, for example, IEPs are meant to help kids, and of course no teacher or no mentor has like malicious intent, but when English is your second language and it might be harder to communicate, having that security and feeling like you're in an environment where you can speak up and self-advocate is something that I feel like the adults can really incorporate and push into the places that they're in, so that it's more of a relationship that flows both ways.
Yeah, I agree with you, and yeah, I feel like some people also subestimate us and feel like, well, not like stop us, but I think we also as individuals, I think we have like more potential and we can do more, and I think we can show it. It's just that we have to trust in ourselves, and also um don't be like, because this happened to one of my friends, and mm, it was crazy, and our counselor was like, no, you shouldn't do it, I mean, it's gonna be pretty hard and everything. But I think that, yeah, you have to go ahead and step and show that you're capable of doing it.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you all find that the parental collaboration drops off more from middle to high school, from elementary to middle to high school? See more parents involved? What's the percentage perhaps of parents being actually engaged in the learning process at the middle and the high school level?
Well, actually, that depends, since I've been seeing that in middle schoolers, with middle school, it's actually like and well, middle schoolers and elementary schoolers are like more active. The parents are like more engaged with the activities that the kids are doing. Since they're always saying like folders for at the end of the week, like, oh yeah, you have to like sign this folder, like we are, since like I- like they already know that you are looking at what they're doing, what they're doing as a parent. But for high schools, I don't think that they do that, and I mean, I feel like they should. Well, not like doing like like with a folder and signing, but I think they could be a little bit more active in high school with English as a second language for people who are still learning English. Sorry, does that answer your question?
Not really.
Okay. So, well, let me see. So, do you need more details or something?
Okay, does anyone else have any questions?
No, I think that was someone else maybe responding. That wasn't my voice. I was the one who asked the question, Leslie.
Oh my bad. Sorry.
That satisfies
Okay.
it. Yeah, but I'm not sure. Someone probably was having a different.
Oh, okay. So I don't want to leave the other man behind. So, what was your question? Nathaniel?
Oh, I was just saying, that I was involved with
You're cutting out. We can't hear you.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to hear him.
my education from elementary on Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was saying that I was involved with my kids' education in their school from elementary to high school. During elementary school, I was on the PTA, and then in high school, I was teaching ROTC at my son and school. I felt that it was very important that parents are involved in their children's life to make sure that they are getting everything they need for their educational needs. A lot of times, kids go to school and they have different needs, and the counselor is not contacting the parent. The parent don't know what's going on, and it could be as simple as just an IEP that the student needs, so we can identify those areas where they're weak at, so that they can help them. But if the parent is not involved, and a lot of times the parents are not because they're working and they have other kids, so then that kid is kind of left to his own crisis, because they're out there and they're not getting any help, and the teacher is not, the teacher has about 40 students, so they don't have time to dedicate all that time to one student that may be having problems. How do you rectify that?
Yeah, okay. So first of all, I agree with you. I totally agree with you. Oh, sorry. Yes, Miss Pamela?
No, you go ahead and answer, and then you can call on me after you finish talking with his point.
All right, thank you. All right, so as I was saying, yes, I totally agree with you. Parents should be involved more with what their kids are doing, and I think that counselors should absolutely talk to you as well. Like as a parent, give information. I know that some stuff should be confidential as well. While you're talking to your counselors, there's like a trust relationship within them if you build one, right? So I think about the PTA. Yeah, elementary and middle school, they do have PTAs, I guess, if I'm not wrong, for middle school.
They do.
And also for high school. Yeah. Will you say something?
Oh no, I was agreeing with you that they do have
yeah.
PAs and
All
stuff.
Right. Yeah, and also high schoolers. So I think that's a really great helpful way to communicate also. And I think I think you can, I don't know, as a parent, I think you can also email your your child's counselor and talk to them, or just go to school and have a talk or something. I think that could work out as well, as a suggestion of myself.
Yeah, I had one thing to add that Miss Patterson actually put in the chat. It would be a really good opportunity for mentors to serve. A mentor could come in and help with that as well.
And I just wanted to add also that I think the original question was how are parents of second language students helping their children through elementary through high school. And I think one of the issues where mentoring for adults could come in as well is that a lot of our second language students, their parents are also second language, and they need assistance and support in learning how to just read and understand some of the basic things, that information that is sent home. A lot of times we take for granted that they understand what a PTA meeting is or what that consists of. And so we would need to make sure that they understand, even if you send it in their language, they need to have an understanding of what that means and what it looks like. So as far as the second language learner and the parent involvement, I think some of the parent involvement is not because they don't have the desire, it's because that they don't understand the process of some of the things. And you find that most parents want, and I don't care what nationality you are, every parent wants their child to do better than they did and to succeed better than they did when they were in school. So I think that's the overall arching commonality. But we as first English language citizens, we need to be aware of the understanding behind what will help our second language parents know and understand, and not be shy away from being at the school because of their lack of understanding the language and what the different things mean as far as just understanding a report card. Some of those basic things that we just take for granted that you send it home and you think that they understand it. And when you look at an elementary child, they can't really explain it. They just know what they got and if it's good or bad. So I just wanted to add that to the conversation.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much. That was great. Yeah. Okay, and this is going to be our next topic.
Hi, my name is Ashley, and I'm going to be talking about the honors versus academic curriculum. So many students end up taking honors classes. Their classes are not standardized, and schools design their own honors courses. Honors classes often cover a limited variety of subjects than AP classes. They might not have a specific end-of-year exam. Honors classes aren't developing students to achieve a great success in college. Honors courses cannot help students to prepare for college-level coursework. Each school has a different curriculum management system. While some might reflect advanced level courses that are more difficult than regular classes, most honors classes are not challenging in terms of workloads. So each county and district have their own curriculum of honors courses, but when it comes to AP, it's the same throughout the whole entire United States. It's standardized, and they have a yearly exam. And so it puts teachers more pressure to teach the course and to prepare the students for the AP exams. As someone who has seen and talked to other people who take honors classes, they tell me how they don't have much work, they don't even get homework, and how they don't really feel much prepared for college. And as someone who's in the IB program at my school, I feel really prepared for college, and I feel like it will be helping me a lot. And students who've already graduated from the IB program at my school say how the IB program helped them so much. But students who are taking honors courses and aren't well prepared to take IB classes or AP classes are going to be struggling in college. And for statistics, there's 16.8 million students, high school students across the United States. And out of all these students, they at least take 34.9% take at least one AP exam. That's not a lot. And only 61.8 students enrolled into college, and 32.9 students end up dropping out of college. It could be due to a lot of many reasons, but also because they're not well prepared for these college coursework, and the curriculum is really different compared to high school, especially the honors classes. And so I feel like if we have students and mentoring students, mentoring these honors classes, students who are in it will be much more prepared for college and their curriculum, because college is totally different from high school, and especially the honor classes. And I feel like these students need a lot of help, because I've only been in one honors class this year, and it was an honors debate class. And I was looking over at some senior students who are taking this honor class, and I was looking how they're not developing thesis really well. They can't even write a essay really well, and how they struggle a lot, and their grades are really horrible. Most of the students have D's and F's and don't really care much about school. And I feel like if we have mentors, it'll be able to help these students out and put them in the right direction and help them take more classes that are rigorous, and encourage students to take more rigorous classes. And also we should change the honor classes to be more rigorous and prepare these students for college. So the college dropout rate could be lower, and for more students to be taking these AP classes, and for more students to be enrolling in college.
That was excellent, Ashley. I did want to add on to that. I think part of the reason for the lack of preparedness in some students is also due to COVID, because COVID, it shut down for a couple of years. A lot of people were virtual, and I think we can all agree virtual school, we didn't learn as much as we would have normally. So I think that definitely plays a role in everything that you just said.
Yeah. For my experience from 8th grade, going from Zoom, going straight to school and being in IB classes, I would say it definitely was like a big change. But because of these rigorous classes, it helped me more want to like get good grades and help me stay on task and study more and get good grades in these classes because I didn't want to fall behind my peers who are really extremely smart. So it has been preparing me. And for my school, I'm not sure if other schools are like this, but our AP exams are free for anyone who takes AP classes.
Yeah, and adding on to that, I feel like not many people know that College Board itself does give out, scholarships. And so even though a particular county might not give any free AP exams, if you're on like free or reduced lunch in high school, College Board itself can pay for your exams and that's like one way you can qualify. And I also wanted to add that I feel like the real root of this issue between like honors and AP curriculum is that there isn't as much of a gap between academic and honors courses. So it's like on your transcript, you might get that GPA boost, but the actual content between an academic and an honors course isn't that different. And that's really why it's a problem. It's because it's kind of giving students an option of like honors and academic or AP. And that's like a really wide difference. So it's like when we have honors classes, like I'm not saying we should eliminate honors classes, but when they're structured in a way that is truly in between like an academic course and an AP curriculum, that will also help students who maybe can't take a full AP class. It will help them like build up their ability to try more regular courses. Because right now, the way that it is, from my experience and from what Ashley has been sharing, it doesn't really push you to take the AP class.
Yeah. And to add on to that, I take AP classes and dual enrollment courses. So being that I take classes at a community college, there's a definite difference between the honors, the AP, and the dual enrollment classes. And I feel that if we have mentors to advocate for more programs that include having dual enrollment classes and having partnerships with different colleges in the different areas that we live in, I feel like more students would be engaged, or that more students will take charge in their academics. I know that from personal experience that the AP classes, they're fine. They're not too bad. But if you fail the test, your credit doesn't go through at all. But once you're in the actual college and you get a real college setting in the real field of professors and the actual experience of what it feels like to write a paper or what it feels like to actually receive a college grade, I've seen a lot of success from students that know that once they get that feel of college, that the AP and honors, all those classes become a breeze to them, and that they're actually prepared for college instead of just having the AP course and not getting the credit at all.
So I'm going to ask anyone to come off of mute, speak to how do you gain access? Some of you on here, you have access to AP courses. Some have access to honors courses. How do we pick and choose? How does that happen in your buildings?
It happens through the counselor. I think the guidance counselors in the schools, when you want to sign up for classes for we'll sign your child up for classes for the next year. You get a list to choose from pretty much, and you can get a good idea of what classes they offer. But as far as like, it doesn't go into much explanation about, the AP or if you're if your child can actually take it, because if you're in a school district that has several different high schools, it also lists the classes that are not even at your child's school. So I think it's a good idea to maybe talk to the counselor about the classes that are actually offered at the school that your child attends and go from there. There are many different types of classes that I've seen offered, as far as honors, AP, even like dual enrollment classes. And there are like college preparedness, college ready programs that kids can go to, but that's, it's at one school. So you would have to the child would have to bus back to that school every other day from their base school. So it's just a little bit complicated in some school districts. What parents are looking at when they're trying to decide classes for their child for the next year. And yeah, so that's how I decide. But I actually talked to my child's counselor about it because there's a lot of offerings, and like I said, some aren't even at that location. So it gets a little confusing. So I definitely understand where what parents see when they get that email, so undecided, you don't really know. And then the kids, I think they generally choose their courses for the next year, and the parents get an email about it and are able to meet with the counselor if they choose to. But yeah, that's been our experience.
Thank you so much for sharing. And just to add on to that, I think that, in places like Northern Virginia, there are definitely a lot more AP classes that are offered and a lot more students taking AP classes than in other parts of Virginia. And part of that is for obviously like there's a difference in wealth. So like people who are, more better off are going to produce like more competitive students just because they have access to like more resources. And so in other counties where they don't have that many AP courses curriculum, it's usually because there isn't that much of a demand for it, or it's not really like encouraged as much like within students and within the schools. So I feel like you can do some AP classes online, but I feel like the root of that issue would be with getting, mentors in these areas and school districts that, don't have accelerated curriculum or don't have as much of rigorous courses available. Because when we have those resources allocated to students who, need them and who don't have maybe, the extra money to, be better prepared for like the SAT or like for AP exams, that would help students improve in the courses that are offered within their own school, and then set a precedent for like future students to like go on the same path, and for the school itself to like see that there is a demand for, AP course curriculum, or at least to like offer it.
And to add on to what Heba was saying, with her point, I would also say that it depends on the school as well. In my area, I live in Richmond, so I go to Richmond Community High School, and we're basically a college prep school. So it's mandatory for all the students to take an honors or an AP class. We don't have any like regular classes there, being that we are on a higher level, or they set us to a higher standard to help with graduation rates and to help with getting into college. So in different schools within the area, some schools offer AP courses. There's only one IB high school in the district, and other schools, it really depends on what school you apply for. I go to a specialty school, so it depends on that too.
Just
Insightful. Thank you.
Just on the topic of the AP and honor classes, and those of you that have experienced those classes, I'm not sure if any of you have seen the movie Race to Nowhere, and that movie speaks on the stress level and the expectations that are placed on students who are placed in these classes from the outside world, parents, also because you're trying to get into college, and with the AP classes, the extracurricular activities that you have, and how your day just continues to move into the night where you're practicing, you're doing your homework, you're thinking about AP, you're thinking about SATs, all of those things. And when you guys were talking about that, that brought back that movie to my forefront of my brain. And I was just wondering how are you all viewing that with not yourselves, or if you want to speak to yourselves, I'm not asking you to do that, but are you seeing or are you hearing your peers speak of that type of stress?
Yes, 100%, definitely. Myself and my peers as well. We all agree that it's really stressful, and it can can be a lot, like mentally, and it can also have effects on your um ability to do schoolwork in a way, because what a lot of people do is they prioritize their AP classes or their honors classes, well, particularly AP, and then they kind of put everything else to the side. And they get so like stressed and worked up about it. Like it's really something I've noticed, and it's something that I really wish could change.
I feel like another part of that as well is that, these more rigorous courses like AP classes are a lot more self-paced. And so I feel like that contributes a lot to like absenteeism. Like there's a huge increase in absenteeism across like the US in general, but like especially in Virginia as well. And I feel like as schools are implementing more AP courses and more classes that require students to take more work on themselves, they can do that at home. Like I know a lot of kids, they don't come to school to do like AP work or to do coursework at home, just because the structure of it kind of allows you to do that by yourself, or a lot of it is based on like your own learning. And so I feel like with that, uh, in restructuring it, I don't see it as a solution, because I feel like there is a lot of value in learning how to teach yourself to a certain extent. But I feel like when it comes to like the mental health aspect of it, that's going to be the biggest part that like gets students back in classes, by having, for example, days, excused absences for mental health days that would prevent people from skipping more because they feel like they're behind. And having that, I guess, safety net that you can take a mental health day and really would help with absenteeism. And so I think that that's another tricky thing to cover, because you do see like in a lot of college courses it is that way, where it's definitely on you to do it. So I think just having that support system is what's going to get students to like get used to that, especially from the difference between like middle school and high school. And that's where we have peer and we have other mentoring programs that come in and help with like that transition.
I would say from my experience and from my peers and students at my school who are in IB program, they're very stressed out and they have a lot of work and we're in a lot of activities, which causes students to, majority of the students to actually get less sleep. There's students who only get 30 minutes of sleep and go to school the next day and have to take exams. And it's really stressful. And there was actually 2 years ago, a student who was in IB program during exam weeks, she took her own life. It's really stressful, the program, and it's really rigorous, which leads to a lot of mental health problems in the program.
And I just my thoughts on that too is that I think that there needs to be some type of research into how academics or those types of things you just spoke about, Leslie, are affecting and making some of the mental health things rise as far as what you see happening with some of our young people.
Yeah, I 100% agree. It definitely becomes a mental health issue when it's continued. And um what was I gonna say? Additionally, post-COVID, I think that also makes it a little bit worse because, the COVID pandemic, it was, like I said before, virtual learning and everything. And in addition to that, it's kind of like I know people that like will literally skip school just to catch up on their missing assignments and do homework. And like what Hiba was saying. So yeah, I feel like if students just had more like we were like along with the IAP or IB courses, if we were given a lot of tools to help with stress and anxiety, help with taking anxiety. I know that's definitely a thing. Um to help with, you know, managing your workload, managing your time. I think they could definitely help improve students' mental health that are taking these classes and help them not be so stressed out. And also, I feel like a lot of AP and IB classes, they have a lot of homework. It takes a long time to do the homework or assignments, whatever you need to do for the class. And I feel like kind of unfair to students that have other commitments after school, such as work or sports or taking care of siblings. And I feel like that definitely affects people disproportionately.
And to touch on the schedule thing, I would say that the schedule that you have in school really affects how you are as a student. In Richmond Public Schools, we're on a 4x4 schedule, so they fit a year's worth of curriculum into one semester. So they take half of the time that it takes to really get to know what the topics are, get to know what the subjects are, and don't really give students the a good amount of time to really understand or to really feel what the topics are in depth. And I feel like that's what's hindering our success in my district, and that the even with the times that we get out too, the high school students get out at 4 p.m. now. So students that have jobs, students that have to take care of their siblings, students that have practices after school, they don't really have time to do their work. And they get upset at us when we don't meet the requirements that they set us to.
All right, so is there any other questions or comments that anybody wanted to add? All right, then we will move on.
Okay, so my name is Nardos, and I'll be presenting about the advanced education pipeline. Actually, my Zoom is being weird for some reason, so I can't actually see like the presentation on here, but I'm gonna assume that everyone else can see it, hopefully. So is it on like the next slide now?
Yeah.
Okay, so essentially what the advanced education pipeline is in public schools is magnet schools and governors schools that are, publicly funded and publicly run, but they require an application test for admission. And some well-known examples of these across Virginia are Maggie Walker, the Academies of Loudoun, Thomas Jefferson High School for Science and Technology, and there are several more. But really just the big thing about these is that most if not all of the students that attend are applying in middle school, and they're taking a test kind of similar to the SAT, and they sit down and write an application. And so it's similar to the college application process in the sense that a lot of students do apply to multiple of these magnet schools and governor schools and hope to get into one. And these schools offer obviously a different curriculum as opposed to the normal public school that student would be expected to go to if they hadn't gotten into the magnet school. And these curriculums do tend to be very unique, or they're very accelerated. And so it's just a really hence the name magnet. It's just a really concentrated area of a lot of different students who are really academically inclined. And then the second thing that I was going to explain is what accelerated programs are. And so what accelerated programs are is there are programs within elementary and middle schools that place certain students in more advanced educational programs. And so you might see this as early as, kindergarten, first and second grade, with some students being sorted out into, higher level reading groups, higher level math groups. And what this does is it systematically kind of pushes students through a certain pipeline. And what ends up happening is that most of the students who go to these magnet and governor schools are the kids who have been in these, advanced programs since they were in elementary school, since they were in middle school, because the way that it works in a lot of public school systems is the courses that you get to take are based off of, a teacher recommendation or something like that. And a teacher is going to recommend you for the most advanced course automatically, usually, if you're already in the advanced class in, say elementary school. And these placements are usually based off of testing, standardized testing. And so this does effectively shut out younger students who may not have support at home or at school to excel academically. And it makes it really difficult for those students to break into advanced programs and magnets programs in high school if they become interested. If we're being honest, most really young kids and elementary schoolers are not super self-motivated to say, oh, I want to take this advanced class. I want to take this advanced math class. There are definitely kids like that for certain subjects, say for math or for reading. But when it comes to the kids who are, getting into these magnet schools and governor schools and actually attending, they're excelling in essentially every subject. And so what that takes is a very strong push and support system from home, from parents, and also well-funded schools tend to have the resources to support and push students to enroll in these programs as well. So what this leads to is, students who don't have as strong as support from home, obviously since they're a kid, they're not going to be as interested in, automatically just moving into those into those programs for excelling students. And then because of what I mentioned earlier of how students who are in this original advanced pipeline, those are the students that go on to go to even more advanced classes. And in turn, when you're applying to colleges, these honors and AP and, these magnet and governor school programs are really valued by these colleges. And so, just in the long run, it can really disadvantage students. And so my perspective on what should be done about this is that there should be more entry points for students in terms of how they can get involved in these advanced classes. Testing shouldn't be as heavily emphasized. I think it's a good benchmark for at first, when students are being first sorted out. But I think if a student is interested, they should be provided with the support to do that. And it should also be encouraged at a lot of schools for students to join these programs if they're interested and, bolster interest across these groups. So did anyone have anything to add?
Yeah,
I think.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. I was just gonna say, you brought up a lot of good points, and I think that, on the flip side of that, there are students who might find an interest, in STEM or like in these accelerated programs, like too late, just because they might have not had, the pressure, like the support at home to like go into this. But it gets really difficult because even as like a middle schooler, you can choose to do, like, for example, algebra 2 or geometry, and it's like these are decisions you're making in like 6th, 7th grade, and if you don't choose that, the accelerated math, it kind of throws off your entire, math curriculum throughout high school. And so even like in my experience, I had to, take geometry over the summer because, I, being somebody who was like first generation, like coming into America and also going to college, it was my education is kind of on me. And so, especially figuring out this whole system, I was just naturally inclined to go into more advanced courses. But obviously, as a middle school, you don't understand that. And so I did have to take like a summer course for geometry just to get back on track. And it's like these kinds of things, it's so really difficult to navigate when you're, that young in middle school. And so I feel like there should be a lot more emphasis on counselors in younger grades to like talk to parents, kind of like about what Leslie was saying, those families that English might be their second language, or maybe they're not from America, how talk to them about like how this process works, and really, guiding their student in a way that they can do what they want, and also that they understand what comes with it. Because I also see a lot of people who like might be in the academies of Loud and, not like dropping out because they didn't expect the kind of coursework that it would like provide. And so I feel like it's a lot about like expectation, that either it's like you're not prepared for like what you're actually going into, or like you want to go into something and it's like too late just because you didn't get that experience, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. Ms. Johnson, did you have something to add?
Yes. So I just wanted to speak on the fact that when you spoke about at the elementary level or the when the students are younger. We've talked a lot about what peers and students your age or what the parents can do, but we also have to look at what the school can do and what some of the schools, elementary schools, needs to start looking at. People say the statement, think outside the box, but sometimes you have to think like there's not a box and look at what things you can introduce to young students to spark their interest. And then once you get them into that interest of something, then what things support that interest so that they can know by the time they get to middle school and high school where their interests lie. The other piece that I wanted to bring out about that too is counselors at the elementary school. Yes, you can have a career day, but there's got to be a different way to present a career day, just having someone come talk to students. With technology that we have now, with things that we can have students interact with, there can be more ways to get students at a younger age involved. Like elementary schools are now taking students to college campuses to visit so that they can know, or talking to parents. Counselors are talking to parents about the different ways to get financial support for your child, because a lot of parents don't know. And I'm not just talking about second language parents. I'm talking about just a base parent might not know all of the different things that some parents in some areas might, or level of education might already have privy to. Because if we don't educate the parent and if we don't push those things at the elementary level, and that's some of the things that Nardos and you and Keish talked about far as the STEM program, if we don't start doing some of those things at the elementary level, then we're not going to be able to guide students into that direction of knowing where their interests lie. And yeah, really, at an elementary level, you might not really hone in on exactly what your passion is, but it'll at least give you some ideas of some things that are out there, and it also will help parents understand what they could do to help their children get there.
And to add on to what Ms. Johnson said, if there is a need to really separate the students that you think need to be on a higher level, or not or just see like where they are, I would emphasize interviews over standardized testing. I feel like once you actually interview a student, you get to see more of them, and that they are stronger in certain areas that they wouldn't be so strong in a test. And I know that at my school, we went from testing and doing an interview to just doing straight interviews. And I've seen that the two classes that have come in since my class came in 2021, there has been a big shift, a lot of more diverse students, a lot of more students that have different interests, different things that they all have their strong suits in based off an interview and not just off a standardized test. So I feel like we shouldn't just set the standard to what score you get and to really know who you are as a student. And I feel like more schools should emphasize this if there is a need for an admissions process.
I think that that's a great idea. I've actually never heard of that, but that makes so much sense. And I think like not only can you gauge like what strengths the student has, but you can also gauge if this is something that they really want to do, because you might see a student that, maybe their test scores, aren't as strong, but you can see that they have a really big passion for something. So by doing an interview, you'll be like, okay, this student is somebody that I know could really succeed in this, but they might need some mentoring. And so you're still providing them that opportunity. And on the flip side too, like maybe somebody has really high test scores, but they're like, I'm just not really interested in this. And so you can also, base your recommendations on like what the student actually wants.
And I feel like a lot of admissions processes use essays to do that, just because interviews are really hard to like carry out for such a large amount of people. I like personally attend a STEM magnet school, and I remember for the year that I applied, I think they said there were over 3,000 applications and there were about 100 spots in the accepted class. So going through and having to interview over 3,000 people would have been really, really difficult. And the way they weeded it out in the first place, which is you know, just because of resources, I think, which is something that should be figured out, is they weeded people out based on test scores first, and then people who passed that benchmark first got to write the essay, and then that's when they started making those differentiations that Davion and Shiva were talking about. So I feel like these are all really good ideas in retrospect, and obviously, that would be like the ideal way to run the process. But I think the way that I'm thinking about it is resource wise. These are obviously like public schools. They're funded by the county or the state. They're funded by taxpayer money. You know, private schools, like they actually do use this process that you talk about, like in terms of for their application process. They interview almost all of their applicants because they have the money, time, and resources to do so. But public schools just don't have that. So I feel like I'm not sure if there really is a more effective way to do it outside of the thing of like using some sort of benchmark at first and then trying to do those more qualitative assessments later, which is why I think a lot of the things in terms of putting kids on advanced tracks should be open at multiple points throughout a child's elementary, middle, and high school journey so that, you know, if they don't make it when they're applying in middle school for these, you know, magnet high schools, it's fine. They'll have another chance to, you know, get an AP program or an IB program or a DE program so that, you know, like not all hope is lost.
Before we move on, I did see a comment in the chat that said, I hear you on career days. I work at a university and I try to actually encourage our students to rep us at career days. It's back to that near peer exposure. Hearing from a college student about their courses, activities, and career aspirations is helpful to have in the mix, along with hearing from seasoned professionals. So yeah, thank you for your comment. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Is there anyone else that wanted to say anything or ask any questions before we move on? Okay. The next topic that I will be covering actually is mentoring in schools. So I'm going to introduce myself. Hi, I'm Desiree. I am a junior in high school, and today I will be talking about the value of mentoring in schools. So first, I want to thank everyone here for attending and being active listeners. I have many good experiences from mentoring, and I think it's crucial that students have some sort of mentors in their life beyond like a regular classroom setting. And I think that schools could definitely help with that. For example, I'm passionate about cybersecurity. I'm passionate about cybersecurity and coding. My mentors have helped me to achieve things and explore these topics beyond a school setting in a more hands-on kind of way. I started as a mentee at C4K about 5 years ago, and in that time I've had two mentors, one that I still meet with virtually every week. In that time, I've been able to explore several different coding languages and complete a lot of different projects like Python-based text-to-speech bot with translation capabilities and, you know, just things like that to play with it and get familiar with it. I also created games and programs that can execute different tasks, and I placed fourth in the Congressional App Challenge in 2020, thanks to my mentor who helped me figure out how to code my virtual assistant named Amare. I would like to note that my mentors, they always did a wonderful job of explaining to me how to solve the problem, how to do this, how to code this thing. They didn't just tell me directly the answer. And more recently, my mentor helped me study for a certification exam, which I passed thanks to her. And, you know, my point is that none of it would have been possible without my mentors that have helped me accomplish things and learn everything that I wanted to learn. They did so in a more project-based way, and I got to pick what I wanted to learn or work on, and they helped me to the best of their ability. And, you know, at times we learned together, which made the experience a lot more valuable to me. They also help me with other things like my math homework, assignments that I have trouble with. They help me maintain good grades. Over time, a mentor isn't just your mentor anymore. They become more like your friend. Someone that you can talk casually with, someone you can learn from, and that helps you achieve your goals. Additionally, my mentors have helped me look at colleges, summer programs, internships, and scholarships, since I am getting to that point in my academic career. They've helped me by taking a look at my resume and allowing me to put them down as a reference. They're really the reason why I'm here today. So I think that schools should definitely start considering mentorship programs within the school or during after school hours, or making a better connection with mentoring programs in their area and create a sort of pipeline between the two. Just an easy way for students to become mentees. For example, I know that the Charlottesville City Schools has a bus that specifically transports students from dismissal at the school to C4K, or at least they used to before the pandemic. That alone opened up so many opportunities for families that don't have transportation and students that wanted to participate but didn't have a way to get there. A couple other important aspects to note is that according to the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention, studies concluded that formal mentoring services had a positive effect on youth academic outcomes across attendance, grades, test scores, and high school completion. I know that attendance has been especially a challenge ever since the COVID-19 pandemic. Additionally, one study from 2021 found that Black and Latino students, as well as students from low-income families, were less likely to report having a school-based mentor relationship that developed organically. So I think school is a place where a lot of different people, a lot of different backgrounds come together. Schools can definitely bring that to a lot more students. So, as educators and leaders shaping the future of our students, I would urge them to recognize the profound impact mentorship can have on academic success and personal development and for students' future. So let us give every student the mentorship they need and the opportunities that come along with it. Were there any questions or comments? I see one. No, never mind. Did anybody want to add on to that or ask any questions?
Yes. Adding to what you were saying, yes, having a mentor has a really big impact on your lives, not just like academically, but also personally. I think that, like you said before, after a while, they're no longer your mentors; they become your friends. And I feel like just mentoring has a really powerful impact over your mentees.
Yeah, thank you, Leslie. There's also a couple more slides. So, Hiba, if you would like to take it away.
Yeah, so I don't see the next. Okay, so when we're talking about mentoring in schools, here are just, a couple facts that it might be helpful to get down. So there's research that shows that students who participate in mentoring programs have higher academic achievement, very similar to Desiree's story, and even like from my own experience. Like I'm part of our peer organization at Lightridge, and so we do tutoring with elementary schoolers and with high schoolers. And we found consistently that, these elementary schoolers that might have, problems with behavior or coursework do improve a lot, like when they have a high schooler to look up to. And the same goes to like peer-to-peer mentoring. So mentoring provides students with guidance and support in exploring career pathways as well. And over 50% of mentees enroll in college after high school. So another thing is that mentoring fosters personal growth and development by providing a safe space for students to discuss challenges, set goals, and receive constructive feedback. So at the root of it, mentoring helps us succeed because it kind of gives students a backbone to lean on and a guide in which they can, talk about anything like social, academic, family related, and it really provides a source of communication when students might not have that at home or they might not have that at school. And that's why mentoring is so important within our school curriculums and within programs like peer or sources of strength. So another statistics we have is that students with mentors are 78% more likely to participate in civic engagement and volunteer opportunities regularly compared to students without mentors. And the reasoning for this is basically because a mentor is someone there that pushes you and encourages you to not only take action to fulfill yourself, but also to fulfill others. And so when you feel like somebody's giving something to you, you're going to be inclined to give back. And so that's why we see such an increase in civic engagement when somebody does have that support and when somebody does have a mentor.
Well, thank you, Jorge. So that was our last slide for this topic. I do see a chat. I'll read it out loud. Kristen, first of all, you are very impressive young people. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I am a STEM executive and president of Mega Mentors, a youth mentoring program in Chesterfield County. My question is, when you meet a new mentor, what is the most valuable information you want from the new mentor at first? What would have the greatest impact for you? I guess just getting to know them as a person, like their personality and that kind of thing. Like, I don't know. I feel like I get along with people generally, so I feel like I would get along and work well with my mentor anyway. But I feel like getting to know them on a personal, like almost friendly level first is definitely crucial.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And I feel like what I would say is that, if you're meeting somebody for the first time, you don't want them to feel like, you don't want to feel like it's like a teacher-student relationship where like, you feel like as a subordinate. And so I would say like, if I was in that position, I want to know, maybe like their experiences in mentoring. So like, why did they choose to become a mentor, or like what their goals are with you? Because I feel like a lot of times, even like what I've seen like with peer-to-peer mentoring is that usually the mentee, or especially if the mentee gets referred by someone, they might be a little bit confused on like what's going to happen, or why they're getting referred. So I feel like for the first meeting, kind of just breaking that like any block and having very clear communication and having like really like goals set up and having a very like welcoming and direct communication is what I would say would make me feel the most comfortable.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Did anybody else have anything they wanted to add or any questions? And of course, at any time, you can put anything in the chat, but we are going to go ahead and move on.
So I wanted to talk about the importance of school promoted hobbies and really how we can implement, trying to foster a student's creativity and their passions within a school environment. So the importance of school promoted hobbies, it really comes down to having an outlet for you to, express your creativity and express who you are, like side by side with academics. So when we see like schools promoting activities and clubs and, fundraisers, things like that, there are reduced dropout rates, increases in mental health, and that really helps with academics. So it's like a relationship that goes both ways. The more that our personal like mental health is prioritized, the higher our academics will go as well. And this improves academic performance. We can see that Students who participate in extracurricular activities are 15% more likely to have higher grades and academic success, in the future when it comes to colleges. And then enhancing social skills. We have 85% of students that are involved in extracurricular activities, report improved teamwork and communication skills. And I think a big part of that is just finding yourself in a community that's outside of academics and something that is more like free reign that you can choose to do. And so, how can high schools and how can organizations implement this themselves? Well, one thing that my school does is that we have structured time in our schedule for students to meet in clubs. So, for example, in our regular bell schedule, we have an advisory built in for like 20 minutes in the morning. And on 2 days, I believe it's Wednesdays and Thursdays, we use those as club days. So you would go and you would sign up for a club. And then on those 2 days, you would be able to join that club, and it would be during the school day. And so that allows like students who are, in sports, or they have like other engagements after school or before school, to still be involved, within clubs and be able to explore those hobbies. So just having like those structural priorities is really makes a big difference and really encourages students to like be part of the school community, especially because it's during the day. There's a certain guaranteed attendance to clubs, and within these clubs you have the normal sponsor who you would meet in their own classroom. So it's like you have the sponsor there, you have leadership there, and it's just like a regular club meeting, except it's during the day. And so that's one way that my school has, tried to implement this into our schedule. And for the most part, obviously it's not a perfect system, but I feel like it definitely helps people get involved, especially people who might have not been involved otherwise. So that's kind of about the importance of school promoted hobbies. But if anyone has any questions or comments, please feel free to unmute or put them in the chat.
To add on to what Heba said, we have clubs within our school, like during school time as well. And I see that there's a lot of success when it comes to participation and when it comes to the development of the clubs. We try to introduce like a few new clubs every year. And I've seen that a lot of the students enjoy like having the time to be in the club during class time and not having to worry about after school activities, and being able to be fully engaged while having a break from any academic things is a really good thing to have, really good thing to have. And in Richmond community, there's this time that we have on 2 select days of the week. It's called family. And basically, I feel like this would be good in a lot of different schools. We have 30 minutes allotted just for us to come together. We have the different grades go in separate classrooms. We each have an assigned teacher, and we have different activities that we do. We have different things that we do with the other families that we have. Like yesterday, we went and watched the eclipse, just to take a break from academics, even though we just came off spring break. But we do it to have a community as a school, be able to get along well with each other, be able to build those relationships. And also, they also promote hobbies as well. With the clubs that we have different programs that they introduce to us and that we talk about, and they encourage those a lot.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. Is there anyone else that wants to share anything? Okay, you can always put it in the chat, and if not, then we will continue. So,
So thank you everybody for coming. This was one of our major projects that we were putting together for this year, and we're really excited to be able to present it in the form of a youth forum. And so now we wanted to open up the floor to
I think we lost Nados.
I think so too.
So that's a way, Akiva, you want to take over what her.
Yeah. we were just going to, open the floor to any questions that the audience might have to, how you can implement, these lessons into your own organizations or systems that you're part of, or, if you have any feedback for us, what are some things that we can do on the student side to, promote educational equity. So if anybody would like to, put anything in the chat or unmute, you can feel free to do so.
Hey y'all, my name is Kristen. I work over at Voices for Virginia's Children. And I just wanted to say thank you. I feel really honored to have been invited into this space. I feel super impressed and inspired by y'all's personal stories. I really love the idea of decision makers coming to you young people. I think that is how we should be doing it. And so I feel really inspired by this listening session, and feel really motivated to help other young people command their seats at the table the way you all have today. So thank you so much. Really grateful.
And thank you so much for being here. Thank you for the compliment. Thank you.
Yeah, we're so happy to have you here.
Yeah, because it's important that, there are people here to listen and hear our perspectives as well. So thank you.
Well, I just want to say to the guests, thank you for coming and being a part of the forum. I want to say thank you to our YAM participants, and you guys did an excellent job with this being your first forum that you've put together. And I think we should say to you that you are our leaders, and your input is always a voice that needs to be heard, regardless of, where you are. Your age does not matter, but you do have voice. And I thank you for participating today and the work that you did for this forum.
And I too want to say thank you guys. You did a fabulous job, really dynamic, breaking down the data. Love the data points, love the presentation, but most importantly, love learning and hearing the stories that are actually happening in your schools across the state of Virginia, understanding some of the inequities that are taking place, understanding some of the access and opportunities that are important that you all need to continue to advocate for. And it doesn't matter the location and where you are, but continue to share with those adults the importance of the things that you all need in order to be successful in living in life. So thanks again for the great work that you all put forward tonight. Appreciate it.
Of course, thank you. You've been wonderful as well, guiding us and sort of encouraging us to work hard. So thank you.
Yeah, definitely the fact that like all of you adults are here supporting the youth says so much about, the community that we have in Mentor Virginia and, in Virginia in general. So I just want to say, thank you so much for you guys that are here, listening to us and hearing out our stories.
Well, thank you again, and good night to everyone.
Yes, have a wonderful night. Thank you all for being here.
Get some
Have a
rest,
good night.
guys.
All right, good night. Thank you.
Good night.